Hey everybody, hope you're doing well tonight. We're going to get started in a few minutes.
Hey, ma'am.
Hello, Talisha. I'm just getting everything set up here.
Hey, Miss Denise.
Okay, so don't forget to put your city and state in the chat. I see some people coming into YouTube already. We've got people here on Zoom. This is the final broadcast. That's what we're calling this tonight, the final broadcast of Blockchain Chat officially. So, we usually get started around 7:33. In the meantime, Miss Talisha, how you doing?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. Anything exciting happening in your blockchain sphere?
A few little things are popping off. I think a lot of people, again, NFTs are running the world right now. So we're having lots of discussions. I know I'm asked to have lots of discussions about that. And energy efficiency. You saw tomorrow that, Chipotle is having their lovely little contest.
Yes. Yeah, you were like, why are you nervous? I'm like,
I was like, asking, random. It's like playing the lottery. I'm like, are you nervous because you don't gamble? Like, I didn't know.
I don't gamble, but if somebody like put me in that situation and I'm like, of course I know there's like slim chance to win, but you're still counting like, well, what if I did get it?
Well, I'm like reading and I'm like, there's no purchase necessary. So it's not even the lottery. You don't have to buy anything. You just have to guess the 6 numbers. And
but it's 25,000 of Bitcoin on the line, which could eventually be 250,000 worth of Bitcoin,
Others prizes, like there's 500. So if you didn't get to 25,000, you get 500. So they're giving 3 of them.
Different levels. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm digging that. I'm a Taco Bell fan, but I'll go to Chipotle if you want me to.
I know. I was going to tease you about that in Discord. I'm like, it's not Taco Bell.
But yes, I will participate. I show up when there's stuff to happen. I'm going.
Yes, around this. Hey, Eric.
Hey, thanks, Reed. Hey, Talisha, how y'all doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
Doing good.
Good. Great.
Good. Yeah, we're going to start in 2 minutes. Wanted to give people a chance to come on. Everybody, put your city and state in the chat. We always like to know where you are coming from. We have people here in Zoom. We got people on YouTube. So we're so excited to have everybody here tonight. Let us know where you're coming from so that we can recognize you. We got Ohio in the house. Michigan, the Midwest is showing up. Baltimore, Crypto Trinity, huh? You're not too far from me, Lou. Okay.
Raining there because it's raining.
We've got Mike here in YouTube. We've got the Phoenix in YouTube. Good evening, everybody. I'm gonna start here. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the final broadcast. Mike is in Boston. Want to say hello to everybody tonight. It is officially 7:33, so we're going to get started. If it's Wednesday, at least for today, is Blockchain Day. Welcome to Blockchain Chat. This is the final broadcast of Blockchain Chat. We've been doing this for 3 years, but that does not mean that we are going anywhere as the 3 of us in the boxes here. It just means we won't be doing Blockchain Chat every Wednesday because we have other projects and other things that are going on that hopefully can help make us gazillionaires in the blockchain space and in other places. So I do want to make sure that everyone stays in touch with us in our Discord group. It is blackblockchainconsultants.com. If you go there, it leads you right to our Discord, and you are able to sign in. And we got new people coming in every day, talking mostly about NFTs, but I always try to throw other stuff in there as well with regards to the blockchain industry. So we got Callie in the house. Hey, the Phoenix 33, good to see you. So I first of all want to thank everybody with regards to the past 3 years, especially the other officers, Talisha, Eric, Tawana, and Dr. Keisha. And we've had an amazing run. We've seen the highs and the lows of Bitcoin. Sorry. We've had some great guests to come on. So I sent a note out to the officers earlier today, just kind of with 3 overall questions. But tonight is also about all of you who are listening. So you don't have to be on camera, but if you want to chime in with some of the things that you've learned with regards to blockchain and the business of blockchain, then you can raise your hand and we will just put you on audio. So that way you have an opportunity to participate in tonight's conversation as well. So with that, I want to have Talisha introduce herself to everybody.
Hello to Talisha Shine. I have been here forever. It's like, it does feel like 3 years, but when I went back, I actually went back today into the Facebook group, and it was March 21st. That was the first post there. So think about it, literally 3 years, almost to the day.
Literally 3 years.
Yeah, so,
and Eric, I'm sorry, go ahead, Talisha.
That's like amazing. Like I just didn't even think, but it started before that. I think most people do believe that it just happened, but we connected much before that, and it evolved into what we see today. And so it's been an interesting ride.
Yeah, I mean, and it evolved to what we had on Monday, which was Deloitte Consulting senior partner. I don't think it's a partner, but senior manager coming to talk to us because he wants to see more diversity in blockchain. So how far we've come, right? Eric.
You know what? Yes, hi everyone. Eric Spence. Yes, co-founding member here. And it's funny, we were talking about this 3 years. I feel like those 3 years in crypto is like dog years. Like they're like those 3 are like more like 10. And because of just how
real quick.
Yeah. Just the acceleration. And it's funny because we are now, I feel, on the cusp of a new era, that we're about to emerge to, especially as Cherie mentioned earlier, talking about NFTs. Like now we're going to, go forward. But I will say though, I have thoroughly enjoyed this. I've been honored to work alongside these ladies, and this has been a true labor of love for me. I mean, it really has been. And just the entire community of getting a chance to engage with everyone and to talk blockchain and to talk crypto and being able to do that, because most of the time, my kids, they just go and walk to the other room when I start talking about this. Like, oh, all right, we heard enough of it. So, so for me, this has been fantastic. It really has.
And I do want to say that Richard a few weeks ago did a mastermind around the NFTs. The Discord group, this community is all about you. It's always been about you. You don't have to wait for us to come on Wednesday or for us to set up something with a Deloitte person or for us to do anything. You can put something together, put it in the Discord group. Hey guys, I got this blockchain person to come and he's going to come and talk to me on a Zoom meeting. Here's the link if you all want to come in and chat. Like, we have always welcomed that with open arms. So I want to say that as well. Okay, then. So I put 3 questions in here for the two of you, and then I'll answer them as well. So we'll start with the first question, and also want everybody in the chat as well to tell us your answers too. So the first question is, what have you learned over the past 3 years that we have been a part of BBC? What have you learned?
Take that, Eric, or do you want me?
Well, you know what? I would say this is this is more so than anything is I've really learned the learning curve of people being able to come into the space with their own interests. And as they follow their own interests, then beginning to find their own niche. I know, Sheree, you've talked about that a lot, and that has shown the case. We have multiple authors who have come out through this space. And I believe some of these authors were first time authors, you know, for themselves and probably, you know, never even considered writing a book. And but them entering into the space and finding and seeing areas, to me, that's been one of the things I've most learned, and probably one of my bigger takeaways is the fact and that I have then, you know, talking to other people, because some people, you know, they kind of get intimidated, you know, and you know, they're intimidated. I'm not a technical person, or, you know, Bitcoin's already at 50,000. Is the train has already left the building for me. I don't know where I could get in, and, you know, and that sort of thing. And but just having that background and seeing just the development of those within the group, those are stories that I then begin to tell them, and I see the you know, like the immediate change on people, and they go, wow, you know what? They begin to engage differently after that. So that's been probably one of my biggest takeaways that I've seen over these few years.
Yeah, and Eric, Mike, and YouTube is saying I have learned that Eric is all in on tokenization. So
That's right.
Go ahead, Talisha.
I would say the biggest use case out of all of this is human nature for me. Watching from an interesting perspective of watching people evolve in the space and watching the world evolve around with it. So we had two different trajectories going on, the self-paced learning of different things. And I don't think it would have ever been that way. Like, I think people were doing Coursera and all those other things, but this topic really forced you to truly learn something. Like, you couldn't just gloss your way through it. And I think everybody had to participate in some fashion or format. And I think I watched a few of our old episodes before that we got on, and we've said some of these things so concurrently, and they actually came to fruition. So before they were just thoughts that we were just kicking around, they've actually happened. And we talked about NFT. I think it was like maybe the fourth or fifth episode. We talked about the non-fungible tokens, and just a brief passing, but the fact that we talked about it, and then here we are in this small space of 3 years, kind of, you know, having this whole resurgence of it. And what we talked about was a different practical application rather than what we're seeing here. I mean, it was general, but I think those are the things that I see that people really are like, I need to know. They feel the need. This was an urgency that I didn't think, because most people don't like tech stuff. I mean, I find it very difficult to have conversations with anybody besides the people I work with about the tech stuff. And people were literally coming to me and like, explain it. I know I'm not going to know it. Just throw it at me. So I thought that was a really interesting thing. And then how people have gravitated to the things that they like, and they brought themselves into the space, which was the biggest thing that we were pushing, that you didn't have to pretend to know everything. You just had to find where you wanted to be and then learn those and connect the dots. I think that's the biggest takeaway for me.
And Lewis saying, this is only my third show. However, seeing, listening, and learning about you three has been very encouraging. Well, thank you, Lou. And don't forget, you can go back into our YouTube channel where we have all of the blockchain chats in there, as well as all sorts of other stuff. You'll see Sheree with different hairstyles and all that. So,
got cut. I'll do that.
I mean, I've learned a few things. Number one, I've learned that learning something as life-changing and fast-paced as blockchain, for me, has been better with a community than it would, like, I would have never been able to learn as much as I've learned on my own than being in this community, coming on to the blockchain chats, you know, hearing the masterminds, all of these things, because I have to admit, I might not have really caught on to the NFT and the tokenization stuff and known how big it was going to be unless Eric hadn't started saying something about it. And I'm like, okay, let me research that and figure out more about what that is. So I know that there are a lot of people who say, I could find that out on the internet. I could research that on the internet. And yes, you can. I'm just saying, for me, I learned that I learn better in groups like this, you know. The second thing is I learned about the real business of blockchain. And when we first came to just be as an organization, one of the things that we talked about was, what can we do that other people aren't doing, or that other people aren't talking about? And it was all about the business of blockchain. Like, this is going to be a great wealth transfer happening over the next 10, 15 years, 20 years. How do we as a people capture our share of that? And really, we deserve a disproportionate share just to catch up. And a lot of times I felt like I would hear stuff about technology, but I couldn't figure out how to monetize it and how to turn it into a business. And I hope that through our conversations, all of you have thought about hanging your shingle, or getting involved with the team that has a blockchain project that you believe in, but that can also help you, monetarily, or help you change the world in some sort of way. The final thing that I will say, and I've always known this, but the highs and lows of Bitcoin itself really teaches me about myself as an investor, teaches you about yourself as an investor, and teaches the community. Like, you get to see how people react based on Bitcoin being 3,600, Bitcoin, being stalled, did it like 8,900. It was like that for a while during our 3 years. Then all of a sudden Bitcoin shoots up again. And now people are interested in the resurgence of it. So, I mean, those are some of the big things that I've learned. And definitely the power of tokenization and power of smart contracts, and seeing those use cases, and feeling like some sort of way I want to be able to have my footprint or my fingerprints on some aspect of those. So I'm going to read a couple of comments here. Shonda saying the community has been a great safe space to learn, bounce ideas and thoughts about blockchain and what is to come. Thank you. And Trenton YouTube is saying, guys, I just started following and catching up on old videos. I've learned a lot from you guys. The technology adoption curve is what popped in my head first. Clarksdale, Mississippi. Yes, the tech curve. Yes. And I mean, that's a whole business thing too. So.
Hey, Sheree, can I add one more thing? You were talking, and one more thing popped in my head. Here's one thing too that I think was a really big takeaway for myself is, there are a lot of videos of us, from 3 years ago where we were, talking about blockchain, talking about crypto, talking about Bitcoin. And then, you would see someone from, the legacy financial markets, from, TradFi, as they would say, and they would be completely dismissive. And, we will be covering articles of them, whether it's JP Morgan or somebody like that. And they're completely saying, it's a fad, it's going away, it has no utility, this and that. And then for us to see this come full circle where, and to me, that was a very big takeaway, is this fact of saying, because many times when you would talk to other people about this, they would have just watched CNBC. So they would have, seen Jamie Dimon go on and say, well, he said, and he's a billionaire, he runs one of the largest companies in the world. Like, who are you? And I'm like, okay, but he's wrong. He's still wrong. And we would discuss this. And now to kind of see that change, and I would just say this, not for myself, but for anyone, when you have a real strong conviction and passion about something, and you've done the work in studying it, I think it's worth you following that through, even when you are getting pushback from people who are, really successful and are telling you that you're wrong. I think sometimes it is worth continuing, to follow through and to trudge forward on that. So to me, that's been a big takeaway, from the last 3 to 4 years.
So then let me piggyback off that. I have never been early to any technology. I've never been early to anything, not the internet, not, social media, nothing, right? This is the first time I've been early to something, and seeing it from the other side of, again, the business side of blockchain, how long sometimes it can take for things to really catch on, or for the bugs and the kinks in the system or the use cases to be flushed out, et cetera, and how much capital you have to have and how much patience you have to have, and the naysayers, saying, no, it's not going to happen, et cetera. I love to get, Delicia's probably been, ahead of the curve on a lot of things, but I'd love to get some of your thoughts, even in the chat. What have you learned from being early if it's your first time, for the first time to something, being early to something?
I think that's a wonderful aspect to it. And I think I posted in the Discord group, and Eric, you have to check it out, because it's a contrast of what JP Morgan said and where they are now. It's like how it started and how it ended, but there's like tons of them. And I just kind of cropped them to show, like, this is what they said before and this is what it is. And the newness that we talk about, we were all new. And I think most people forget that. The technology pieces have always been here. We're always familiar with cryptographic stuff. We're always, distributed ledgers, nothing new. It was the combination. So really 2008, when that white paper hit, that was new for everybody. That concept was like, oh, okay, let's take a look at that. Mm-hmm. So even if you came later, because it was just theory at that point, we hadn't really started to go. So anytime that you kind of came in, you got to see the evolution happen from the beginning. It was like seeing the internet being built. So even in this part, there were still people, I mostly talk to people and I say, how long you've been in the space? Most people say 2016, 2017, 2018. That's that sweet spot, because that's when you just couldn't ignore it. Even if I had said, yeah, I studied this, but there wasn't anything to study. There was just concepts. It really became real at a certain point, and then everything shot off. So I think that newness is always still here. I hate when people are like, oh, I've been in it for a long time. Just because you bought Bitcoin in 2006, that's great. But did you know what you even had? Because some people couldn't even find their passwords. So that's how they were like, you got into something, but you didn't know exactly what it was. So you were right in the right place at the right time, but you weren't educated. You still didn't know. And so that's the part I always say, like, the technology is here. Yeah, I could write a few lines of code and be HTML and be like, oh, I started the internet. That wasn't the internet. That was just a piece of code. Now you get to see the expansion. And so right now we're in this wave of really newness for newness sake. And then it's also now newness that has some utility. And I think we were riding that, and that's going to continue for quite some time.
Yeah, Trinity said something here. Being early to this space, I have learned media outlets, big and small, will give uneducated opinions on things they don't understand without pause. Isn't that the truth?
Preach,
well, they were doing that before. People give educated opinions. Opinions are everywhere for about a lot of things. And you just happen to have a platform to have that conversation, and that's why you hear it. But that's why we created this. And I think that's why you do need to have these pockets of platforms and people speaking to you in a way that you need to absorb the information. And it may be contrary. We're not contrarian, so to speak, but we said what we said because it was correct for us. And those other people like, that's not right for us, and it's a hype, and it's this and that, because it wasn't right for them. But turn around and see, they were literally pushing the price down so they could buy all their reserves. Yes. So there was a strategy behind, very clearly, because you couldn't just keep talking about it over and over. And then you're saying, why are you so vested if it's nothing? Why do you keep hounding this conversation if it was nothing? So
yeah. Denise says, being part of BBC has reinforced the need for representation in emerging technology for me. It can be so hard to be the only person talking about blockchain in other circles. Somebody's got to be the pioneer. I actually look at it as a blessing a little bit because I'm different, I'm Black, I'm female, I'm, of a particular age. Yes, I'm 22. Yeah.
Just remember when we went to the blockchain bash, I think that's a great example. Cherie and I went to it was an organizational party kind of thing, but it was informative. Mm-hmm. But it was only 3 of us, meaning mm-hmm. Black women in the whole entire room. There was over 200 people there, and literally I could see them across the room because I'm like, there's 1 and there's 2, and that was it. And we were the only females there, not only Black, just the only females in the room. Mm. And I'm thinking that was just 2018.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like it was like 1,000. That was 2018 when we got invited to that. So,
but they're begging us to come. Like we were there, and like the organizers ran over to us. Oh my goodness, nice to see you. You came, So, girl, wear that with a badge of honor. Walk in looking fabulous. Who can I meet? Okay, so you have a couple of more comments in YouTube. Engineering Cannabis says, was introduced to blockchain 2 years ago and was involved with AI and blockchain and automation of farms and cannabis cultivation. That sounds like a great project. Candace is saying, just started last week with Bitcoin and I am obtaining information daily. Thankful for this channel. Well, welcome, Candace. So I will say that we are more so about blockchain, the underlying technology, than Bitcoin, but stay because we're all about the business of blockchain. So definitely you can stick around, Candace. Okay, so the next, Mike has another question here, another answer here. Mike's saying, when I attended the blockchain conference last year, seeing all those beautiful melanated people spinning up their own projects and lifting themselves out of poverty was it for me. He said he went in Africa. Okay, perfect. There's so much creativity. And I will say this, when we have creativity plus funding, there's nothing that can stop us. Creativity plus funding, which is, shout out to the 10K project and what we're doing over there. But it partially came from even me being in the blockchains, and other emerging tech, and people wanting to do gaming and other types of emerging tech, but they didn't have the millions of dollars behind them like other people did. So question number 2. What lessons should members and our guests take with them as they proceed with their blockchain journeys? What lessons should people take?
I'm going to still study. You have to learn. Like you can't be dictated to. This is not a space where you can just learn it and then it's going to just happen. You really are going to have to customize this. And that's a great thing. I know it's a little obtuse in certain aspects and maybe even scary and intimidating, but it really is coming to what you want to do. So it's very hard to answer those questions like, well, how do I do it? What do I do? You got to decide what you want to do before you even have those conversations with people. Because even with the cryptocurrency, we can't tell you what to buy because what do you want? It's just like anything else. You wouldn't go to a stockbroker and just give me some stocks. You would have to know, and what do you plan? How do you want to do this? Do you want to do it like this? All of those things come to play in this space more than anything else because you can really start to craft your own path. There isn't just one way to do it. Right now, you can see that there's tons of exchanges, tons of different projects. There are so many to choose from, and there isn't going to be like, well, just tell me. There's never going to be that. So you're going to really have to be proactive in the space and latch on to, like I said, use your resources, use us as a resource. You guys always ask me, like, what do you think about this? How do you do this? And I think the business of blockchain really does help you identify some of those projects that you want to invest in because they have those merits. If it doesn't have any of these merits that we talk about from the business side, then you know it's not a viable project and that coin may not be worth anything. So I said, take that information because a lot of people are still in that hype of like, I just really want to know this for crypto. And that's fine. But the principles of the business are really going to help you make those evaluated and succinct choices when you go into that space.
Yeah. Eric?
I would say you must remain open-minded. I can't stress that enough. Like, we have changes, trends, new applications that we haven't even seen yet that are going to be invented, that are going to be created, that we're going to see them. And I've seen this, and let's just be honest with ourselves. I think we have all witnessed people who may say, just like Alicia was talking about someone saying, well, I bought Bitcoin when it was $200 or whatever. But, you know, that person, and you may go, wow, man, I wish I was you. I'm just saying this as an observation. I've seen a lot of people like that who that was where that's where their journey began, and that's where it ended. And right, like there was nothing else aside from that. And all of the other trends, when we started talking about tokenization of assets and NFTs and, you know, all of the DeFi applications, for them, that like is all just as much nonsense and noise to them, and they just completely dismiss that. And I'm like, well, how can you dismiss it? And then we are seeing people too who were very, very much, you know, kind of, you know, they pretty much have changed their minds. They were at one point, you know, pushing back on it or even possibly even dismissive of it, but have continued to learn and then have become very fluid and have changed their mind, and then now they're coming back around. I mean, I think Mark Cuban is like that now, you know, right? When you see him now he's 100% going, no, I'm going to go DeFi now. I'm going to, you know, do Mavericks tickets as NFTs. And, you know, and at one point, if you look at him early on, he was kind of like, you know, I don't think any of it's going to work. And now he's completely changed his mind. So I think that's one thing that I would say to someone is just remain open-minded. Don't be so quick to, you know, immediately shut something down, say it's, you know, it's not going to work, it doesn't mean anything, or that case. So
you give yourself grace. I think a lot of people are always talking about, oh, I wish I would have. There's going to be tons of projects. Again, Bitcoin, yeah, you're never going to buy Bitcoin at a cent again, but Bitcoin is a whole different animal. There's so many other things. And I think the changing of the mind, you have the right to change your mind and explore and miss some things like, oh, that's cool. Now it's great. That's okay too. I think that we put so much pressure on it. It's this now, and that fast money is really overly hyped at this point. And you're not going to get rich tomorrow. It's not going to be the hitting of the lottery. And I really want to express that to people in any DeFi projects, crypto, NFTs. Yes, you may see some nice little hits, but if you want to sustain, it really has to be methodical. And that comes back to the education, knowing what you're getting into, why you want it, what you're planning on doing with it. All of that will take you much further than these one-offs where like it hit 10,000. But again, if you don't know how to get it out of your wallet, you got tax gains, you may lose your money just by not being educated. And I've seen it over and over, people like, yeah, I'm taking my profits, but they don't know how to get it out, and then they lose it, or they've sent it to the wrong wallet, and all this kind of stuff happens because you won't slow down. And I'm like, slow it, you're gonna run the race. The race is already in progress. All you got to do is finish. That's all you got to do is just run your race, and you're going to catch whatever you catch in the between time.
That's right. So I'm asking everyone in the chat and on YouTube this question: what lessons will you take from BBC as you proceed with your blockchain journey? What lessons will you take? I have the thought here: do something. That's the lesson that I want everyone to take. Do something. If you are into NFTs, you like NFTs, don't just sit on the sidelines and read articles. Find a platform, just like Richard did. Find an author, say, you know what, we're going to tokenize this book, something super simple. Right? I'm going to tokenize this paperclip here, right? Whatever it is, and actually go in and play around with these platforms. Get the demos. A lot of them are more than happy to give you a demo and, you know, try it out and all of that stuff. There are going to be people who, I keep saying this, going to make 7 figures a year helping people tokenize their whatever assets that they have, right? Yes, it's possible. Michael Jordan has set up his own NFT. I doubt it though. I think they got a professional in there to actually set that up. You could be the professionals. This is what I keep trying to say. So if you really have a passion, for example, for tokenization, start now and go through the process and the user experience and the pains and all of that, because as fixes come, as the UI, which is user interface, is better, et cetera, then you're going to grow along with the technology, and you can be the person 5 years from now that's the go-to person for people who want to tokenize their houses or something like that. Same thing with smart contracts. We did, Dr. Keisha, shout out to Dr. Keisha, put together the Simba Chain thing. I was jealous. I just didn't have the bandwidth to participate, but you can do something like that on your own as well, or get a group of people together, say in Discord, hey, I want to do something where we start putting together some smart contracts, just super simple, playing around with the different platforms that are out there. So, that's my greatest lesson. If you're serious about being a blockchain consultant, do something. Any right now I'll say anything to get started, and then document your journey. You can document it on YouTube, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. You could show some of the bumps you've hit and then how you overcome them, all of those things, and people will start to seek you out. And I'm sure Talisha will back me up. You'll probably get people offering you jobs, offering you gigs. I saw you. Can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? You seem to be the person that knows what they're talking about. And it starts with the fact that you did something.
It's a very vocational space. And I shout out Trinity because she made her own little NFT. It's cute. I love it. And she just played with it. She was like, yeah, I just want to try it. And that's what you have to do. It's a very hands-on, you can read enough and it's not going to get you to the next step. It's just like anything else. You have to do it in order for you to have that vocational experience. And then, sometimes it's going to be hard, but there's so much information to guide you through different resources. I mean, YouTube will walk you through setting up a wallet in a heartbeat. Like you can get 15 different versions of the same wallet, and you could just pick who you like better to give you that information. So it's really doable. I just think you got to overcome the hump of it's scary, it's crazy. And yes, the money, don't invest too much. Like I said, if you want, like Ravencoin, we showed you that you can make an NFT for $22. Mm-hmm. You don't even have to worry about the crazy ETH fees. You could just make your $22 and just to say, I made one. Mm-hmm. So you can do that all over the place. There are very reasonable places to experiment. Testnet, I always say, if it doesn't have a testnet, you may not want to use that platform because you do want to play around with it before you make that commitment. It's a test drive everything that you possibly can before you make that commitment. But you're going to have to test drive. You're going to have to get in the seat behind that wheel.
Yeah. So we have some. Go ahead.
One more thing to that. One more thing to that. I do want to say this to someone. Listen, as we are in this space, everyone, I don't care if you're minting an NFT or doing the most simplest, we're all learning new skills at the same time. And I would just say that to you, just being, just understand that. And just like Talisha had a good point about giving yourself some grace because you are learning some new skills. One of the things I wanted to mention about Mark Cuban in one of the podcasts, he mentioned that, okay, he's learning Solidity now, so he can learn about smart contracts. I mean, which is that's pretty impressive. I mean, Mark Cuban, he's 62, he's a billionaire, which is funny to me because he's like, well, Mark, you could just pay somebody else to do that. But
I want to know.
But he's a techie. He loves tech.
He just wants to know. Like I said, he may not be, again, learning to code. He just wants to know how that works. And that's because he wants to see. And I think that's such a great place to be. And that's what we all should be, just curious. You don't have to be a coder. Trust and believe. I always say, I discourage coding at any kind. If it's not your wheelhouse, don't do it, but learn the format, the framework of it, so you know what its potential can be. So you can make, again, those assessments like, well, if it's written in this, we know that these have problems, or if it's written like this, it can be interoperable with that. That's all you need to know. You don't need to know all those languages, but it's always nice to meet those people who are just tinkerers. Like that's what Doug Pepe to me is, that he tinkers and he just loves it because he loves it. And I love those kind of people.
Yeah. So we have several comments in here and on YouTube. So Lou said here in Zoom, lessons learned, do your research, latch onto smart advisors, get started, but be patient, pay attention, take notes, and put your faith over your fear. Go for it. I love that. Shonda said, what problem can I solve with blockchain? Couple that with my interest and run with it. That's what she's learned. Yes. In other words, pick a major, ultimately. Denise says, maintain the momentum, learning ebbs and flows, but stay on course. Immerse yourself in all forms of learning that applies to you, reading, listening to podcasts, watching videos, creating masterminds. And if you are interested in development, do some projects or tutorials to transition into applying the knowledge. Absolutely. Do projects, do tutorials, do an internship. Yeah, you can be the 40-year-old intern. Say, I have a passion for this. I'll come in and I'll help you, and that way you get to pick the projects you get to work on as well, based on your interest. So Trinity said, I learned that it's important to make yourself a thought leader by writing and creating content for 1 year. That's true. I would not have given myself that long of a timeline. Patience is key. Absolutely true. And then let's see, Mike says here in YouTube, project collaboration and begin the ideation phase and work from there. And he's certified in hybrid ledger Sawtooth. Fantastic. So
3 years, as I keep saying, remember, we've been here for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
This didn't just happen overnight.
Oh, it didn't.
It takes a lot of work to maintain, but that's the key.
Yeah.
You have to stay with it.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, like Bitcoin Zay knows who we are. He wrote Bitcoin in Black America. You may consider him like, up there with some of the other, not just Black, but just blockchain influencers, period. And yet he knows who we are. Other influencers know who we are. People are looking, Googling and, Black blockchain consultants, and here we are. So yes, absolutely. So the final question that we had, Talisha, for the evening was, what is the future for you personally within the blockchain space? So everybody gets to answer that. What is the future for you personally within the blockchain space? So I'll let you answer first, Talisha.
Eric said he had a thunderstorm, which we are in Virginia. That's what we're having, a thunderstorm. It's rolling my way. So if I cut out, I'll try to come back in. This is my passion. This is where my job is going to lead me through. I'm going to have various different positions. I already have various positions at this point, different projects that I'm working on. So I'll just continue on. I think, again, my specialty is translating the tech into that business. Like I keep bringing the business to it because I think it's very important. And that's what I really appreciated about this group, was that we weren't going to, be the techie group, that we were going to really talk about the business applications and the business models to utilize the tech. And I think that's the key point. I think right now we all get, hype over the stuff, but it's like, what is the stuff doing? And it's just not to just be in existence. It's really to have some utilization. And I think that's where I will continue my efforts into making sure that the projects that come are high utilization projects, things that will really impact communities, our community, and just be solvent projects, because that's how I look at them. Like, what are we doing with them? Instead of just like, oh, I created this great thing. It's like, what does it do? That's the first question I ask each and every one of my consulting customers that come to me. Like, what do you want to do? Because that's really important, without just having this great thing. And so that's where I'm going to concentrate most of my efforts.
Great, great. So everybody else, I want you to write, what is the future for you personally within the blockchain space? Let us know. Put that in the chat for me on Zoom and on YouTube. Um, so my personal career, many of you know I am a business plan writer by trade, and I help a lot of people raise capital through writing business plans. And um, uh, we got involved with the 10K project to bring equity crowdfunding, small dollar investments for Black entrepreneurs, and bringing the community and Black entrepreneurs together. And one of the things that occurs, well, two things occur within uh, funding of small businesses. Number one is being able to um, actually, Talisha, when we went to Philly, I talked about this. It was like 2 years ago. We met Sydney Stinson in Philly, and we went to that session. I said it would be nice to create something where, let's say an entrepreneur has, I don't know, a couple $1 million committed. However, the investors are not interested in giving them the $2 million right away. They want to release 100,000, make sure beta is done, and then it triggers for more money to be released and more money to be released. So, that's something that that I would love to play around with. I also want to play around with the illiquidity within the private investment space. And what that means is, let's say, you invest in a privately held company. Well, those stocks are typically what's known as illiquid, meaning that you have to hold on to those shares until there's an IPO, or the company sells and you get your money back. Well, people have been lobbying Congress and also doing things within the tokenization space to set up exchanges to make those private shares liquid. And I'm working on the legislative committee within the Crowdfunding Professional Association, and I'm looking to help them get the law changed with regards to that, so that we're able to actually be able to either trade shares amongst each other or sell shares on the open exchange a lot more easily through tokenization. So, I've it's really funny. I'll open up a little bit more about myself. Last year, I had a crisis, a personal crisis, because I didn't want to do business plans anymore. And I was trying to find, like, what's going to be my next thing? What's going to be my next thing? And nothing was working. And I discovered that it wasn't the business plans that was my problem. It was me being stuck doing the same thing over and over again, and instead of expanding, taking what I've been doing for the past decade and like expanding that role. So, so that's what I'm looking to do, to add tokenization and smart contracts to what I've been doing within the business funding space. So, and the lady herself, the executive director of the Center for Blockchain Studies, is here, Dr. Keisha.
You're on mute.
Oh, you're either on mute or your microphone isn't on, or something.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, sorry guys, I was in another meeting. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to make sure I come to our final blockchain chat. So yes, I'm kind of catching up. Are we just kind of recapping on what it is we're up to going forward? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, we started. We are on the last question of the three. So So we talked already about like the lessons that we've all learned. We talked about what we've learned over the past 3 years, what lessons do we think other people should learn as they proceed with their blockchain journeys. And now we're talking about the future for you personally within the blockchain space. So since you haven't been here, if you want to answer any of those questions, because you got them in the email, you can answer any of those questions, Dr. Keisha.
Yeah, I'll just jump on that last portion, since that's what I've been working on, is really putting together as you just kind of mentioned, the whole idea of taking all of my professional time. I've been a teacher for 27 years at this point, looking to retire. And actually, it always seems like when I'm at a point where I want to shut a door, something else kind of opens. So this really has revitalized my focus, and I want to continue to, understand more about blockchain use cases as it relates to education, certainly, and really take whatever is coming out, that's the hottest, latest, whatever, and breaking that information down so that people understand, just general people understand what it is about. So that's just on the flat education space, but putting it all together, I absolutely love smart contracts, and now I've gotten into virtual reality and mixed reality, and so putting all of that together as it relates to more in immersive learning experiences, particularly in the workforce development area, to prepare people for this fourth industrial revolution that we're finding ourselves in. And I'm excited about it. So there I am again at retirement stage, and now I'm excited about something else and about to get revved up on something else.
The United States overall is going to have to reskill so many workers over the next 10 to 20 years. And I've been doing a lot of research on this and thinking about it and things like that. And Dr. Keisha, I think what you're involved with is going to be something that's so needed across the globe, but especially in the United States, and especially in our community as well. Getting people retrained for the new economy. So I'm going to read some of the comments here in Zoom and in YouTube. So Latrice said, can you continue to learn? I have so much to learn. Furman said, developing an ICO for social housing in Africa. Phenomenal. Denise is saying, I will continue to establish myself as a subject matter expert in blockchain, priority educating Black small businesses, and becoming a blockchain business owner with my bartering platform. Yeah, we actually talked about that, Denise, as well. I think that bartering platform is huge. So I'm looking forward to you adding more information in Discord. Shonda saying, educating communities on literacy of blockchain and cryptocurrency. Personal note, creating NFTs for my kids' artwork and lighting their torch for the future. Still have to continue learning. Congratulations. Lou is saying, I look to become a blockchain educator and to utilize the blockchain to raise funds for community groups and nonprofit organizations. I think that's a tokenization project. Trinity is saying, now that I'm obsessed with blockchain, I want to keep learning, teach it to everyday people, create content that adds value, get booked to speak at conferences and panels about blockchain, start a crypto trading club, teach DeFi and ownership of keys, and eventually consult established artists on launching their NFTs to their fan base. I wouldn't have done this without the help of BBC. Phenomenal, Trinity. Lewis saying 27 years, to Dr. Keisha, congrats and a big thanks for your service and dedication to education. So that's from Lou. Levon, I have to laugh here at Levon in YouTube, who is asking us, what is BBC doing for the month of April? Nothing. We're going to be in Discord and that's it. That's it. Mike is saying my future is binding cybersecurity and DLT to transform the security and risk space. Well, you definitely have to talk to Daniel Addison. Mike is also saying AI plus smart contract plus tokenization plus polychain equals baller status. He's sending that to me. So, all righty then. Well, you and I, Mike, might have to get together and have more conversations. And Latasha's saying amazing channel. Thank you so much, Latasha. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. So those were the 3 questions that we had for this evening. I'm going to get a little teary-eyed now. I have personally, Talisha, you're on mute.
You got to ask Eric the 3rd question.
Eric.
Oh, Eric. Oh, you're back, Eric. Okay, I'm sorry.
Thunderstorm. You know, Virginia thunderstorms, how they just roll in. And
they're coming. I hear them.
Yeah, you hear, right?
They're coming over here. I'm like, please.
Yeah. Just smashes everything.
So the 3rd question, Eric, sorry about that, was what is the future for you personally within the blockchain space?
Okay. You know, it's funny. This reminds me of that last episode of Good Times. You remember that one where like Keith started talking about how he was going to play for the Chicago Bears and all these good things that happened. That's what it reminds me of. But you know, for myself, and you know, listen, I've been saying this from the very beginning. Completely passionate and hype about the tokenization of assets, and NFTs is basically a trend within that trend. So I will say that I have already now, you know, been invited in and becoming a partner of an NFT studio, NFT design studio that is now being formulated right now, and they are compiling and working on assets, and we're going through that entire process. But I will say I'm having so much fun. You know, I'm having so much fun doing it. And to me, that's what it's all about. And I would say that for anyone else, you know, who's looking, listen, at this point when you have an emerging technology, look, have fun at what you're doing. You know, it's going to be hard work, but really enjoy your work and what you're doing, and look for those things that are going to really bring you a lot of enjoyment in it. And I'm absolutely loving it. So that's what I'm doing right now. That's it.
You have to tell me more about this. I'm gonna call you. That sounds like so interesting.
Gotta ask him because he's gonna tell you.
Oh, look, I don't mind. I will block out some time because I want to hear the whole story. I need the deets. So, okay then. So, final words, everybody. I'm gonna start then with Talisha. Final words. The final broadcast of Blockchain Chat.
After 3 years, I think we've said all the things, and you could probably, you know, you could repeat after us, you know, some of the things that we say. And I think to piggyback off of what Eric is, yeah, it's challenging, but don't make it hard. Make it enjoyable. You know, this is the time that you can craft your own way and your own things. And there's so much out here. It's really a changing world, and you're right in the middle of it. So take full advantage and utilize the resources that you have. We've given you so much stuff, and if you still need us, we're always here. You can find us. So I just think, you know, just go forth and be brave and give yourself some grace. And you're not going to know everything in all 1 minute. It's never going to be that way because it's going to change in the very next minute. So just really be in the space. Just bring yourself, bring your desire. And like I said, it's going to be a challenge. Just don't make it be harder than it has to be.
Good point.
Dr. Keisha?
Oh, I just really want to thank our community who've been with us, you know, from the very beginning. You know, we couldn't have done this without you guys. You know, you guys made it, you know, you gave us purpose to keep showing up, you know. As Talisha just mentioned, this space is dynamic. It's been changing, like, oh my God, you know, definitely over the 3 years. That's like an age, you know, ages. And I can only expect it to grow so much more. So, you know, stay with us in Discord, and, you know, just keep learning. We're here. We're all learning. And we're looking for some major things from everybody, because it sounds like everybody's on a tremendous path. My goodness. Congratulations to us all.
Yeah. Eric?
You know what I would say for anyone is this space is for everyone, and that includes you. So don't at all feel intimidated by anything, and don't ever feel that, and yes, you may see some others that they may seem like they're, you know, maybe further along, that's okay. You'll catch up, pretty quickly too. So I would just say that for everyone, like, don't ever, like, this is to include you. Like, you're here, you're watching this video, you've been a part of us, like, continue on with it. And I'm sure everyone's going to find a lot of success. I really believe it.
Yeah. And I'm going to end with what I usually start with every blockchain chat, which is the purpose of BBC is to help you discover blockchain careers, to start your blockchain-based business, to invest in the blockchain, whether you're investing time or money in a project, and ultimately to build wealth for you and your families through this $3.1 trillion industry. So with that, I wish everyone farewell. Again, we are in Discord, and we will continue to live that mission in Discord and support you as best we can. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you so much. Love you all. Love my officers. God bless everybody. And we'll see you in Discord.
Night.